opinion, what can players be doing, whether an elite junior or aspiring golfer, to increase club head speed via strength, or even for the recreational golfer, what could they do to improve their strength that's then going to help their golf?
Yeah, so I guess I'll kind of break it down into, I would consider it kind of two sections here. First, what I would do is I would make sure that people are strong from the feet up and from the core out, right? So making sure that they can actually balance on one foot before they're, hopping down into a lunge. I would definitely make sure that they're hip capsules. So doing things like banded clams or banded shuffles, being really strong through the hips and stable through the hips is going to obviously translate into that swing. And obviously strength and power through there is going to help generate force and generate that club head speed. Once we actually are somewhat of an efficient mover, things like a deadlift. I think deadlifts are super important for anyone trying to do any type of hip extension or any type of force, right? They're a very powerful movement. They come from the ground. And that positioning, that kind of hip positioning that we get into that fast hip extension is very, very similar to how we would do that within a golf swing, right? So we have so getting a little technical, we have, knee extension, we call it kind of triple extension. We have knee extension and hip extension, as well as bringing the spine up, which is very similar to how we would swing through a golf swing. And then from there, I would incorporate some type of rotational stability. So actually, I have a few posts on there where I'm doing like a pal off press, so where the cable is actually pulling you from the side, and you're holding your core really stable there. And then from there, if they can stabilize through there, then you're actually working into like a rotational throw, right? So you have a med ball, or if you don't have a med ball, you can use a band to have that assistance as well. But then kind of putting those pieces together within a little bit of a rotational throw onto a wall. And whether you want to, you don't necessarily have to load it a lot, whether you have an 8 pound, a 5 pound, a 10 pound, it's all going to be kind of relative based on the individual. But the biggest thing to know is hey, especially within a golf swing, heavy is not always better, right? Better movement is better. Can you actually get into the movement, and then can we progress it properly? Does that kind of answer
No, that's good, especially like you say, with the deadlifts and the knee, hip, and then the extension and sort of the upper body. It makes a lot of sense. The rotational or the lateral stability one you mentioned, whatever you call that there, I've used, it's called, what's that strap, or the 3D strap?
In
the shoulder. So I found that quite useful.
With the shoulder and through the hip there. Yes. We actually just grabbed one of those at our facility. I really like those. The biggest thing with them is, just teaching. If you can teach someone, I think those are beneficial to teach someone the kind of the disconnect between hip and torso. So if you have one, that's a really good drill to do. Only have them rotate their hips or only have them rotate their torso. The biggest thing there is really to get someone to actually brace and rotate, right? A lot of times people are just opening up freely, not necessarily doing the action of which they're supposed to. So yeah, I do like that one as well. But one other thing that I think even the beginner, your young guys could be doing is some type of plyometric, like a box jump, right? But something in the sense of where they're not seeking super high box jumps. You see these guys on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. They're jumping, they're trying to jump and land as high as they possibly can. To think about it like an actual golf swing, we want to fully extend and kind of be able to land. The box is for softer landing. So we want to fully extend, land softer. That's why we have the box there. It's not to see how high we can possibly jump.
Okay. So that's more for the landing rather than anything vertical when you use the box.
Well, you have that power development. It's used for that power development as well. But you also have you do have that kind of what we call deceleration phase, which, within a golf swing, you're basically decelerating and accelerating super fast, right? But it's more or less to kind of save the knees and hips from, if you were to jump all the way up and then back onto the ground, sometimes landing mechanics especially of young kids, is not very good. So to get them up to that point, we like to use just a box. So have them explode up, jump as high as they can, right? And then keep those legs decently straight and have a box that they're going to be able to land on while their legs are kind of fully extended, right? So you're teaching that full hip extension all the way up, and that power development is obviously going to translate through to the golf. Yeah. So Yeah, I mean, I would say the one thing that I wouldn't do if I was if I was coaching a young golfer, I wouldn't overload with sacrificing form. So I think some guys are just they're so in the mindset of like, oh, I started lifting weights, I got to go heavier, 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 heavier all the time, right? Make sure the form is correct, make sure you're doing it properly, and that's why I always say, like we talked about, transferring realms. Like I think, like if I don't know what I'm doing in terms of, say someone wants to do a bunch of Olympic lifting, that's not really my thing. I'm going to send them elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
So make sure your form's right, hire someone that knows what they're doing, and then build upon that through there.